Okay. So I improvised a little piece of beadwork here in order to show you how to put the petal beads on. I'm going to use size 10 delicas instead of 11 because it's easier to see on video. So just know that these are obviously bigger than those are, but it's just because it's easier to see on video. So I've done the row. We're going to call this bead A. I don't have very many colors of size 10, so I'm using silver and kind of a burgundy color. So that burgundy bead would be the bead A, which is actually going to be a gold bead over here. So just pretend. So I just did the row where I put in the bead A. So now I'm just going to bead up to it. Of course. Always when I video, I have to get things caught. Okay. Going to bead up to it. Okay, so just peyote stitch up to the bead A. Okay, so my needle's coming out of the bead A. Go ahead and pull it all the way through. I'm going to set this one aside for now. I'm just going to focus on this guy. Okay, I'm going to pick up a petal bead. Okay, it's got the little indentions and then a little side that kind of has a cupping. The cupping side goes down. So what I'm going to do is put my needle through. Turn it so I can see it good. Okay, so putting my needle through like that. I'm going to leave this a little loose so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Then I'm going to put a size 11 seed bead on. There. Then I'm going to go back down. Needle back down through the petal bead. Oops. Beadwork's kind of flipping around there. Okay. And then needle goes back through your A bead going in the same direction so you can finish your peyote stitch. So you're basically creating a little loop around that A bead. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to pull it kind of tight. Okay, so now that's the first petal, so it's going to be an outside petal. So it's actually going to need to face, somewhere facing that direction, because then of course we're going to put the other petals kind of the other way around. So I'm just going to pull on it pretty tight here, face it that direction. It's a little wobbly. It's not going to stay in place super great yet. The other petals are going to help it to stay in place. So now I'm just going to finish this row. Of course, I did do odd count peyote, which the pattern is odd count peyote, so then I have to do the turnaround thing. I'm going to do this kind of quickly, so if you're not real familiar with the turnaround, just Google or look odd count peyote up on YouTube. That's how I learned. There's some pretty good videos there. So I'm going to run through this kind of fast. So size 10s are so much bigger than 11s. It's like, whew, I feel like I'm cheating. Okay. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a minute and I'm going to kind of improvise on where that next A is going to go, because since these are size 10, it's going to work out a little different than the size 11s. But I'm doing size 10 for the benefit of video because size 11s are so hard to see on video. So I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I beaded a couple more rows and dropped in another bead A where I think it belongs. Kind of improvising because these are size 10, so they're not going to lay out exactly the same as size 11s, but I think this will work. So I'm just going to peyote until I get my needle coming out of that bead A. Okay, so this little petal's kind of wobbling around, kind of in my way, and that's okay. Just scooch him over. Okay, so again, it's going to lay cup side down and just go up and through the hole, and then these pretty little size 11 seed beads, and then I'm going to go back down through the hole in the petal bead, pull it a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to go back down through the hole in the bead A, facing the same direction that it was facing so that I can finish my peyote stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to pull it nice and tight. Now these guys are kind of wobbling around each other, so they're going to eventually lay pretty much like that, but they're gonna wobble in the meantime, and that's okay, because they don't have the other beads in place yet. And not until you get all 5 in place are they really going to stay and behave themselves, and that's okay. Don't think you did anything wrong. They're just not gonna lay totally flat until we get all of them in place. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video, do a little bit more background rows, figure out where my next petal bead is gonna go. I think the next one's gonna be a petal bead and that center O bead. So I better go find my O beads. Okay, so pausing the video, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I did another row and I dropped in 2 more of my bead A's. And we're just gonna bead up to those. Gosh, it's like the pressure of video. I'm constantly dropping things. Okay, so peyote stitch up to the bead A. And this next bead A is going to be the center of the flower, so it's going to get one of those O beads instead of a petal bead. So, I put them here, there. Take an O bead, go through the O bead, pick up a seed bead, size 11, go back down through the O bead and back through that A bead, going in the right direction there, and pull, and then peyote one more till we're going through that next one. Okay, now this next one is going to go back to being a petal, and you can see my petals are wonky over here, but that's okay. Okay, so back through the hole in the petal bead, and then a seed bead, and then back through the hole, and then back through the hole there, and that A bead. I'm hung on something. There it goes. Okay. Okay, so now these are going to lay out a little bit different than they're supposed to because these are size 10 delicas instead of 11s, but see kind of where we're going there? It's starting to become its little flower. So I'm going to pause the video again, bead a couple more rows, and then we'll do the last 2 petals. Be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I dropped in another A bead. So now we're just going to bead up to it, and then put another petal on. Okay, so we're ready for the 4th petal. And again, cup side face is down, up through the hole, push that down, put a size 11 seed bead on, and it's wiggling. Okay, down through the hole, and then back down through that delica so we can finish our peyote stitch. Make sure it doesn't get hung on anything. Pull through. Okay. Okay. And they're gonna feel pretty wobbly right now, but that's okay. Doesn't mean anything. Just means we're not done yet. And so then I'm just peyote stitching up to the top. Okay. Starting to get there. Now it's going to look slightly different than it does over here, again because these are size 10, so I think I can see my petals are spread out a little bit more than they are in the 11s, but it gets us close anyway. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and we're going to do our last petal. So I dropped in the last letter A bead that we need to finish this off. Just going to kind of scoop my petals out of the way. They're going to be in your way a little bit because they're sitting on top of your peyote. So you're going to have to scooch them sometimes, but you'll get used to that. And just twist and turn it, bead from the other side, bead going towards yourself, whatever you need to do. Okay, needle coming out of that last A bead. Haha, see how close we're getting? Okay, going to put my needle up through that last petal and size 11. Go back down through that last petal and down through that delica, which you can sometimes do in one move, and pull. Ha ha ha. See where we're going with this. Okay, now it's still a little bit wonky because I don't have enough beadwork underneath it to support it. So I'm going to turn that. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to finish off this row. If I even have enough of these size 10 beads, I'm kind of running low over here. Okay, I think we're going to do one more row for this demo just to put another row underneath those petal beads because the petals are kind of wobbly, for lack of a better word, until you get a nice bit of beadwork underneath them. So I'm going to do just one more row with that background color. Kind of show you what you can expect here. Okay. And okay, almost done. More over here. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay it flat. And that's it. And you're just going to kind of wiggle your petals into place. So they're like a little wiggle wobbly, but they don't really go anywhere, especially on when they're size 11. I'll bring this back in focus here. They kind of hold each other in place. So they're not perfect, and if I pushed on this one and it's on top of that one, then it is going to go over. But when they're sitting flat beside each other, they sort of keep each other from wiggle wobbling around. So again, this one's a little more spread out because it's on size 10, but that is how you do it. So just be patient and take your time. Pull these nice and snug so they're not too wobbly. If these aren't snug, then they are going to wobble a little bit more. So anyway, I hope that helped, and let me know if you have questions.